And indeed it is our turn. Thank you for calling in or listening in to Cosmic Blueprints tonight with host Tony Z and co-host myself, Kate of Gaia. We're going to have one hell of a night. As always, I do have Tony on the board. Yes, it's awesome. And we have Jennifer Gorkak joining us right now with Kevin Annette jumping in right after his interview on QL television with Johnny Guzman tonight. So Kevin's got a busy night, and he's going to be doing a doubleheader. Kind of worked out that way, so it's pretty obvious and amazing. Well, it had to be that way. It's the way things work. Before we get into stuff tonight, though, I did want to have just a little preamble, not quite off subject, but of course anything we're dealing with in this crazy world is always on subject. And there's a lot of stuff going around right now with regards to this Christopher Donner, supposed ex-LAPD rogue cop. And again, I gotta tell the people, keep your eyes open, because one of the things that this system has gotten good at, and people still buy it, again, in all fairness, the obvious reasons aren't necessarily right there at the outset, but they certainly make themselves very well known if you're paying attention with an open observation and a clear mind, one that's not controlled by, oh my, look at that. I look at stuff like that and going, okay, well, I wonder what's going on behind the scenes here. What are they trying to do? Is this just well, of course, everything that happens is merely an expression of the overall consciousness. When you start looking at the world as being your literal and figuratively physical mirror. Now, there's lots of underlying reasons. I use chemtrails as an example. Everyone says, well, the chemtrails are for this or the chemtrails are for that. And quite frankly, if you look down the list, they're multifaceted and they're actually meant for a lot of things. Probably still a lot of things that we haven't uncovered yet, but bottom line is they're not good. So what would be the purpose of, making a broad and sweeping panorama show, something like a Hollywood production, basically Rambo in real life? What would be the purpose behind that? Well, one, you're going to get some crazy good ratings on TV, especially in the news, for those that are still sucking at the trough of needing to have hate and fear, fear porn filling their lives. If they can't get enough of that other porn, I guess fear porn works for them too. But I got to thinking about this. I haven't actually stopped since it came up, and I was trying to find one of the underlying reasons. And of course, one of the big pushes that the psychopathic governments called the United States government or Canadian government, it doesn't matter. They're all psychopaths. They're not interested in the benefit of the people and the benefit of themselves, which is just an aberrated part of our own consciousness. I'm looking at things that are trying to be brought in. They pulled a Sandy Hook stunt. Beautiful Hollywood production there, to try to get Americans to fall for we're going to make you safer by taking away your guns. Like the police are going to protect. When seconds are critical, cops will be there in about half an hour as soon as they get their coffee and donuts. To report on the crime scene instead of trying to abort and stop the crime. But the fundamental thing that I see coming through here is what's going on in LA is simply a beautiful, in a sick way, Hollywood setting for bringing in American drones onto United States soil, right? Which, of course, Obama has decided to become judge, jury, and executioner with an executive order saying he can kill Americans that he feels or is reported to him that could be a danger. Peaceniks especially. Oh my goodness, careful, we might come over and hug you. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that to the table, just to give a different perspective on things and start. I'm trying to get people to open their eyes a bit wider to see more than what is being presented on the surface. Because in any movie, there's always subplots and different things going on behind the scenes that inevitably get to the very end of the movie. And of course, we all want a happy ending here. So what I want to make sure of is people are at least paying attention to the right parts of the script so that we expose them, because when we expose them, and Tony and I have talked about this many times, and this works for everybody, all you have to do is get it into your reality that the potentials are there because you're the one creating this reality. And as soon as we uncover one of their schemes and plots, bam, there it goes. give you a good example. I mean, the Pope just stepped down yesterday, and yesterday the United Kingdom just crushed the surveillance bill, and here in Canada as well. Today I got word that I think it was Bill C-30, another bullshit statute, garbage nonsense thing that they think actually is real. It got quashed as well. And Tony and I talked about that a bit today. But anyway, I do digress from tonight's topic. But those were a couple of things that I wanted to bring to the fore tonight, so that people can start looking and thinking and feeling and being a bit more outside their own box that someone else is trying to paint them into. So be mindful. You know, this is a war for consciousness here, and the lower the frequency they can keep us, the more control they can have. Remember, a foghorn will travel further over water when it's foggy than a piccolo. That's why they like the low frequencies, because they travel far and wide, and it's not a lot of effort to get it into that low frequency. It's a very low vibration. You know, it takes a bit of effort to play in the flute section of any orchestra. So anyway, Tony, Jennifer, how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm not doing too bad at all, Kay. Yourself?
Good, good. Feel a bit better getting that off my chest, but you know, we talked about that earlier. Jennifer, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Excited to be with you folks tonight. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. You know that. And as soon as I figured Kevin was coming in, I thought, you know, I got to bring Jennifer in, and let's start uniting some of these forces that are fighting against the absolute bullshit nonsense that's called the British monarchy and the Canadian government and every other government on this planet that's only interested in corporate profits. Is that a good start?
Oh, well said, and what a joke it is for sure.
Oh, absolutely. You know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of us laughing because of, you know, I was watching, I'm not going to mention any names. I'm kind of thinking of how I want to approach this situation, but there are certain entities out there that like making comments with regards to, well, you know, these truthers and, you know, the free man or whatever you want to label, you know, common sense. You know, getting harassed and tailed and you know, financially and destroyed and you know, emotionally raped and dragged through the coals and whatever, and certain individuals that go, well, you know, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to stay on the air. Quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, hypocrite in every sense of definition. But you know, I'll let people discover those separate interviews on their own. To say I was thoroughly disgusted is an understatement. You know, some people like you and Tony and myself and so many others, and Kevin, who's coming on for the second hour. Yeah, we've been through the mill. And why? Well, because you matter. That's why. So when someone says that, you know, what we do is, well, that's kind of stupid. Really? Okay. Well, lucky you that we're doing it. Otherwise, you'd have nothing to talk about. You know. But anyway, there you go. I guess I'm on a bit of a tear tonight, so mindful. I'm talking to myself there. I can get going some nights. I think everyone knows that. But anyway, yeah. So a little update there, Jennifer. What's going on in your end of the world?
Well, in my end of the world, like, I'm very sad to say that down here in our part of Canada here, Idle No More is kind of, the flames are kind of smoldering and dying out, it would seem, on our part of the world over here. But as far as all that goes, this whole business with opt-in and the People's Trust is very important, because Idle No More ties into that. It's one of the stitching in the seam of the fabric, and I'm trying to get all my friends south of the border in California, which is very much still going. The fire's still flaring. It's burning down there in California. I've got a friend in Chico, and they're protesting like 3-4 times a week down there, still for Idle No More. And I'm sad to say here in BC, it's really, the flames are dying down, and it's just sickening to me, because I'm only one person, and you know what I mean? It was almost like it was a trend for a little while here. And, you know, that's why I'm so solely trying to push the One People's Public Trust and opt. Nobody knows about it, and Kate, I'm telling you, like, people think I lost my bloody marbles, and
yeah. Welcome to the team.
I know, like, they think nothing's going to get done. I went into 2 Salvation Armies today to try and post a printout of Opt and people's trust on the bulletin board down there. So some of these, you know what I mean, the people who are in financial dire straits, you know what I mean, like so many of us can get in at times. I just want people to know I'm trying to get the word out, and I'm telling you, people think I haven't taken my happy pills or something.
Oh, well, that's all part and par for course. You see, therein lies the true poison of our society in that I've been calling it for a very long time, and Tony can quote me on this more than once. What we're living in is a drive-through mentality. If you haven't got your burger in 1 minute and 33 seconds, you're screaming bloody murder. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens is if people don't see instant results, they get bored and they move along, distracted by something else in the playground here. And everyone can come up with every excuse in the world as to why they can't do something, but they sure as won't tell you why they won't. And because that requires self-responsibility. And therein lies the real problem. Tony had a rather eloquent evening last night with QL Television with Johnny, and the last number of, actually the whole interview was great, but the last 5 minutes or so, I would urge people, if they can get it, to see what's really going on. I mean, both Tony and I touched on the issues of where the responsibility truly lies, and it lies with you. Yeah, and I'm talking about me and Jen and Tony and everyone listening and everyone on the planet. That's where the problem lies. It lies with you. The only change that's going to happen remains and always will remain with you. If you don't do something, and don't expect something to change, you're going to get more of the same. And if you guys are quite content to be, hounded at every turn, and if it's allowed to persist, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until you're going to be effectively again in the Fourth Reich, which is what they've built in the U.S., another Nazi regime, and that applies worldwide. It never left. And they'll be asking you for your papers. Just going to a grocery store, papers. They get your RFID chip. You don't have one, you can't buy stuff. I mean, if that's the kind of world you want to live in, that's fine. Not me. No. I'll die on my feet before I'll live on my knees as a slave. Can't do that. Sorry. I'm a creator God, just like everyone else listening and everyone else on the show here. And I'm going to take my responsibility of being that and opting for change. So no, I get you, Jen. Totally. Tony, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I say, it's not actually about opting for it. It's actually about making it and implementing it. And that's the point. And that's why I lost me I didn't lose it.
Not at all. It was most eloquent, Tony. I don't know why you're giving yourself such a hard time. I thought it was a beautiful testimony.
Well, like I say, that apparently you have to pay for the bullets in China, so I won't be going there. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, you've made a difference in the world when your own family won't put up the money to buy the bullets to take you out. So it's all good.
Oh shit. Yeah,
there you go, huh? So.
But no, that to be said. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all right, going on radio shows and all the rest of it, saying, "Oh, this is the problem, that's the problem," all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, people have got to go. You've got to have people who are willing to stand up for something that they believe in. If you haven't, what the hell's it for? What's the point? And that is the point. You've got to get up and do something about it rather than just talking about it. I mean, loads of people are. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking. I'm not having a go at everybody. I'm just saying, but you've got to join those people, and when they make an effort to do something correct or to do something right or do something for the betterment of us all, it's just bloody. It's so common sense. It's ridiculous. I don't know why we have to spell it out, but it just is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, we all got hammered in the system in terms of indoctrination from the get-go, right out of the gate. So I mean, we came in heavily outnumbered, and the tools that were already in place by the time we got here were well founded, and they've been building on them and building on them. As I said last night, it's a wonder any of us woke up. But feel free, Jennifer, to let rip tonight and show people the heart. This is what it takes. It takes heart.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And I've never really understood my place in the world until just the last couple of years, until I woke up. And it started with me, Kate. It started with me in school. I always had troubles. I could never um, seem to comprehend anything they tried to teach me. And it was just recently I found out that, just like everything else, and you control the education system, you control the people. And I realized I never fit into that because I never was meant to be a part of it. And like I'm at the point now where I don't even want to send my kids to school because my little boy's about to go to school in September, and I see him as a round, beautifully smooth little ray of light, and I'm worried that they're going to change him from a little round, smooth ray of light into a little box with sharp corners, and it just terrifies me to think about what's going on there, and it just made me realize my purpose in the world. I've always been a fighter, and it's our turn. If we don't stand for something, then it's not worth it. You have to stand for something. You have to care about the people. You have to care about the condition of the planet, because I want to make the change for my kids. I want to make everything habitable for them in the next 50 years, my grandchildren, their kids, and so on, and with everything that's going on, and, the government's trying to rip the earth apart for diamonds and oil and all this garbage, what good is it, the monetary value of everything, and if in 50 years our children and grandchildren can't live, eat, or breathe the air, or eat the food that grows or manufactured, and this business with the chip has just got me in such a way, I must tell you.
Oh yeah, again, it's all part of their infinite, or what they'd like to be their idea of infinity is what I was trying to get at, not mine. And I have to tell people out there listening, whoever won the Super Bowl this year isn't going to matter a hill of beans if you're hungry. Your ability to quote the stats of the latest hockey stars and baseball, RBAs and all the rest of it aren't going to mean a hill of beans to you. And what you're going to have is useless information from a useless tool that has been used to control your mind, to keep you distracted from the important things in life. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going to a little bit of entertainment and creating your own, for that matter. But when it rules your life, and it does, it rules our society for the most part. That's what's keeping most people asleep. They keep them, thinking like consumers, acting like consumers. It's the old bread and circuses routine. They've been pulling this since the early days of Rome. And why do they do it? Well, because it works. And what we have to do is change that. The bottom line is this: their empire is done. All right, that is a foregone conclusion. They know it. That's why people like Benny the Ratzinger decided to abdicate the throne of the I don't know, asset control, mafia, whatever you want to call the Roman Catholic Church. That's all it's about, and it's all it's ever been about. It's been about power, control, and opulence, and controlling the masses with, we talked about this a bit last night with the hidden technologies and the knowledge that it's been hidden away in these vaults where only a select few can get their hands on it, and because of that, are controlling the population of an entire planet. And if you don't wake up, and this is the joy of actually talking on these shows, is because I know the people I'm talking to are actually awake. If they weren't, they wouldn't be tuned in.
Oh.
But
hello, Kate. You seem to have lost you for a second there.
Oh, I'm here. Are you there, Jen?
Yeah, I just had a slight glitch or something.
Yeah, Skype glitch. Love it, eh? Normal.
Cool. Sorry, you were in the middle of saying
Oh, yeah,
something.
yeah. No, I was saying, just said to Jen, I guess if you missed what I said, it was important enough to be deleted. But anyway, I forget where I was, but no, I was handing over to Jen. That's why I lost my train of thought, because I was finished it. But the bottom line is, guys, the listeners, that's what I was saying, the listeners out there, the joy that I have is knowing that those that are, that call in and listen in and whatever, are actually awake. So uh, what we're trying to provide are the tools to give you that you can take out to share with others. Yes, you're walking into a quagmire, a veritable quicksand of ignorance, and it is a tough walk. There is a way to do it. Ramming it down people's throats isn't one of them. The easiest, most effective way I found is to actually just lead by example and make people wonder what's making you tick. And getting to the school thing there, as far as your son's concerned, Jen, when you have a company like Rand McNally putting all the books into the schools, you might want to look up the defense contractor, Rand Corporation, to get an idea of exactly who it is educating our kids. That's why they glorify war. That's why they make a big deal out of Remembrance Day and glorious heroes and we were defending this and that. No, you weren't. Every war is a banker's war, and the sooner people wake up and realize that, the more peace we're going to get. But anyway, carry on, Jennifer. Just what else has been going on? You mentioned in California and what people are doing there, because everywhere in the world matters. It doesn't matter if it's in BC or Ontario or where, as long as people are doing. So what's going on?
Well, absolutely. I totally agree. I've got my girlfriend down in Chico, California, and she's very involved in Idle No More. And what really bugs me about the whole thing is that people are so obsessed with consumption at the moment, like what's the latest Nikes and this Lululemon for $100 a pair, and you know what I mean? Like, what's important to me is food, clothing, and shelter, and making sure that I help anybody I can come to the realization that we are literally slaves. Like, I went to high school. I wasn't in the regular education system. I went to a First Nations high school. So, like, we were learning things like the Indian Act and like to try and be aware of what, the government has been doing to the Native people forever. I didn't learn regular history about, the Douglas guy and, you know what I mean, and what they did down here. And, it's just, I never, ever, ever fell into that little box that every other person, most people fit into as far as the education system, because it's all BS. And like I said, like, you control the education system, you control the people. And it just worries me because, the people think I'm crazy. Like, I'm like literally putting everything out there in black and white. I'm connecting the dots for them. I'm joining the corners to make the box, to paint the picture. And people like literally think I'm nuts over here. And it's very frustrating. But at the same time, I've accepted that. And I'm like, okay, you guys will come around, but it's going to have to, you know what I mean? Reality is going to have to give you a slap in the face before you see what I was talking about all along. Like, there's no respect for life anymore. You've got Kelowna up here in BC, and the government has put in a petition for the Kelowna people to remove and relocate a gravesite and all the bodies in it. Like, if that's not disrespect, I don't know what is. And it's like, at the end of the day, it seems like every day that goes by, people have less and less morals, and they care less and less about humanity. And with all this business with, like the Super Bowl and stuff like that, that's all put in place as a distraction. I don't even watch that garbage. You know what I mean? It's totally put there to take your mind off of what's really important. And like you said, a little bit of entertainment never hurt anybody, but who's to say we can't make our own healthy entertainment, right? Like, my entertainment is more education on what's going on and brainstorming and thinking of what I can do to make a difference and waking people up. And I don't know what it is. Like, all I know is that things are all going wrong. Like, the U.S. is turning into a police state. And Canada with this Bill C-34, and, like, Harper is just a criminal like no other, like, that we've ever seen here. And, it's criminal what he's doing, trying to rip apart, resources. Like, for a minute, where do the people think that, you know, if you got a job on the oil rigs? My younger brother was working on the rigs up in Fort McMurray, I think, and he was making like $500 a day take home. But I'm like, yeah, and he's like, and I'm like, well, what do you think you're doing? I'm like, you're ripping and raping the earth apart. I'm like, this can't be good. And I'm like, the money sure seems good now, but at what price? It's your soul that's going to pay. And it's your daughter and my kids that are going to pay. And then my best friend, her is one of those frackers, and he's another one of those people that think for the money that's great at the moment, it's worth it. But, you know, at the end of the day, if in 50 years our kids can't breathe the air, drink the water, or eat the food that's grown out of the soil, you know, what's be doing it now?
Well, this is the point. This is exactly the point. See, what they're actually doing, it's a destruction and poisoning program, but it's not just, they're not satisfied with just destroying and poisoning the people. They need to destroy and poison the earth as well. So, I mean, there's a couple of perfect examples of it there. One of them is obviously fracking. I mean, there's gases, and you can set light to the water coming out of the tap in some of these places in Australia now because of the destruction that this fracking has managed to achieve. And it's, you know, it's poisoning the land so you won't be able to grow food. Now, what's the purpose of poisoning the land so you won't be able to grow food? So you've got to go to the powers that be, the ones that are controlling the microchips and the distribution programs, in order to feed yourself and your family. In other words, you will have no choice but to comply. And that's precisely why they're poisoning the earth and doing all of this stuff. You know, it's on a massive level, and I can run through a whole flipping list of different things that they're doing, including in the UK, like selling off all the forests now. Now, the reason they're selling them off is so you have to buy the gas, or you have to buy the electricity, or you have to buy in to the government's supply of energy. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't collect wood anymore, or burn it on a fire, and you can't go out and shoot deer because they've wiped them all out, you know, plus the fact it's somebody's land you're shooting it on, you know, and all the rest of it, you know. It's incredible. But it's about taking any alternative, any viable alternative away from the people. And the sooner they get to grips with it, the better. And those are just a couple of examples of doing it. But yeah, that's why they're actually doing it, to make sure that you can't get any resources over and above what they're offering you in exchange for the microchip, which is what we're actually talking about in the chat room right now. Hello? Okay, that's interesting. Can you hear me, guys, out there? Anybody in the chat room? There's a possibility, it looks like we might have lost Kate. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, as I was explaining, just till Kate managed to come back online, and I guess, yeah, it's about taking away our natural resources. So, you know, I was basically going down to the tip the other day and chucking away small bits and pieces, household waste. And they've got 7-foot fences all around the local tip with inward-facing barbed wire, basically. And, you know, it's basically to stop you getting in there. They're throwing away furniture, they're throwing away, you know, old metal frame beds, and all sorts of household goods are being chucked into these tips. And basically, as I say, you can't take anything out of there. At the moment, you might be able to bribe the guy that actually runs it for, you know, a couple of quid to get an old bed out or something. But apart from that, it's CCTV'd up to the hilt. It's floodlit at night, so if anybody's getting in there, it's got manned, what do they call them, night watchmen, actually, you know, patrolling the areas and all the rest of it. I mean, my God, it's rubbish. No, I mean, it's literally rubbish. It's a place where they throw rubbish away. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, well spotted, Mother May. But that's the point. It's completely insane what they're doing. But the whole purpose behind it is to actually prevent anybody getting hold of anything that can be used. Again, same with the forests. You need a fishing license to go and fish. You know, they're polluting the seas by putting all the sewage in it and all the rest of it. The nuclear situation is a whole massive bag of tricks that, I mean, I rarely go into. But, I mean, basically, I'm not trying to frighten anyone here, but if you go and look at it, we're getting, shortly we'll get Christopher Busby on the show, and he's one of the UK's top professors and nuclear experts. Now, what they've actually done is, if you start doing some research into the designs of these nuclear reactors, what you'll find is that the actual reactor itself is buried deep underground. Not deep underground, just below the surface. But what they're doing, they're storing the cooling pools, which hold the plutonium, uranium, etc. In other words, the spent fuel rods on top of the nuclear reactors in the pools. Has anybody not just figured out what I said? They're storing the waste uranium, plutonium, etc. spent fuel rods on top of the reactors. So if anything goes down, and I've looked at this, I've studied it, so I know what I'm talking about. If the diesel reactors that cool the water and pump the water down fail for any reason, like they run out of diesel, or if the power goes out for any reason, so the electric pumps can't function, or if there's a breakdown in the economy, financial collapse, a bit of a solar flare there, knocks out all the electrics. And it goes on and on and on. There's loads of different situations that can actually occur. So, I mean, if that weren't bad enough, we look at some of the geological positioning on where they've actually put these sites. They're on tidal lines where tsunamis can take them out. A lot of them are also built on fault lines. For example, the New Madrid fault has got, I think it's either 18 or 22 built along it, dotted along it, like join the dots. Is anybody sort of like picking up on this? This has not been done by accident. It could not possibly have been done by accident. So why would anyone do that? And who would do it? And why would they do it? Again, it comes back to the same thing. Once you've actually polluted the earth and polluted all the ground and the land, and with whatever, be it radiation or be it anything else, heavy metals, chemtrails, barium, strontium, cadmium, all of the ingredients that are in these chemtrails, putting it politely, which is all obviously falling down to the ground and going into the fields and crops and all the rest of it. That's over and above GMO. It's a poisoning program to make all of the food that we can grow and all of the things that we can get hold of unfit to be able to be used or be, got at by us so that we can use them to survive. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, but the fact of the matter is, like I say, GMOs and all the rest of it we could add in later on. But if that weren't enough, obviously we've got NHS with amalgams, putting in poisonous, stuff in your mouth and all that sort of stuff, fluoride in the water, and I don't need to really go on, do I? I think I've said enough. The point is that there's a poisoning program going on to poison the human race, to dumb them down, to stop them thinking for themselves, and, as I guess was just saying there, bread and circuses, which is keep them fed and keep them occupied with the football games and all the rest of the stuff, and basically keep everybody distracted from what's really going on. And that's basically the crux of it. And the more we put up with it, the more we allow it to carry on, and the more further down this totalitarian road that we go, the worse it's going to get. So actually getting out there and doing something about it, be it stickers, be it leaflets, be it tapping Fred and Frida on the shoulder and going, "Oi, do you know what's been..." Oh, well, pick one. Do you know what's happening with any of these issues? Pick one of them. And basically just bringing awareness to the public in general. So, you're doing something. If you're out there trying to wake somebody up, that's part of the actual program. And as for those that go around attacking, well, they're just brain dead. But the point of the matter is, as I say, there are some good people out there in the world that are trying to make a positive difference, and I applaud those people, and God bless you, thank goodness for that. I'd be awful lonely if I was out here on my own, which, thankfully isn't the case. But, and then this is also why we've got to keep our eyes open for people like Dean Clifford, who they've now got a maximum security plumbing penitentiary for the simple reason if he gets in contact with the prisoners, he can actually educate them so that they can get themselves out of there. And that's the point, which is what they're afraid of. It's the information, it's the truth that really scares the shit out of them, basically. And that's what it's all about. This is why it's always been said, the truth will set you free. And that's why, even when I get even high-profile guests on the show, like Max Eigen, for example, unless he's starting to tell the truth about free energy, and again, it's a massive subject, but yeah, anti-gravity. Unless you're talking and telling the truth about that, then why are you bothering to have a conversation? Because unless, it's like putting a politician up in front of somebody and saying, right, you tell me why I've got to pay a gas bill. As a politician, if there's an imaginary politician in front of me, for example, and he'll go, right, well, we've got to pay a gas bill because our national reserves, blah, blah, blah. I say, wait, shut the fuck up. Listen, why have I got to pay a gas bill? Because we have things like free energy. I mean, you'll come back with a bull argument. Oh, there's no such thing. I say, right, listen, A, B, C, D, E, F, D, A, F, G, and I'll give them a whole list of different people that are doing free energy and that are doing 0-point energy, electrolysis, oxygen, hydrogen separation from water, etc., etc., etc. The list is endless, right? We have free energy. Get over it. So that totally nullifies any argument that he's got. There is no argument. It's like, well, I don't believe that. Well, don't bloody educate yourself and you'll soon find out. Or do a bit of research on the people I've just given you and look at the technology. And it's bloody obvious. It's falling off a lot stupid. And, it really is that simple. You've got to be able to start with the truth. Otherwise, it's a pointless conversation. The point being, when I bring guests on to the actual show, we've got to start with some of the truth. If they haven't looked at it, okay, that's fine, but please go away, look at it, and then when you can sensibly comment on that thing, then come back and tell me yes or no, or, oh, that was interesting, or, you haven't quite convinced me, or whatever else. Okay, well, just go and look over there then, instead of that one. And I'll give you another example, and the list goes on. But, as I say, it's all got to start with the truth. I've just got some information coming in from Kate. She's been hacked. Taking the piss out of me in the process. Hang on. Yes, she's trying to get back on. I'm not sure what the situation is, but Jennifer's been knocked off completely as well. And I'm just waiting for confirmation. Obviously, Kate will have her hands full trying to probably restart the computer and do all sorts of things to get back online. But, it's, Jennifer's there. I wonder if she can hear me is accurate. And, question mark. Okay, Jennifer's standing by. Obviously, when Kate gets her computer up and running again, presuming that she's had to restart, she'll have to reopen the board, which is actually why I signed in from this end, to make sure that if the board did go down, we've got somebody here who can sort of like take the reins. But as it happens, that was a good move. But yeah, so that's my rant. And it looks like I'm going to have to carry on with that rant for a little bit. But if anybody didn't see the program last night, I actually sort of like I didn't expect to be telling quite as much truth as I did. But the point is, at the end of the day, Jennifer can't hear me again apparently. Okay, can you hear me, guys, in the chat room? Just to make sure, I'm pretty sure you can. So I don't know what's happening with Jennifer. Just a yes or a no will do fine. Okay, the word, yeah, okay, that's cool.
Okay, I'm back. I'm just going to grab Jen here.
You made it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm getting seriously punched here, I think. Anyway, just pulling Jen back into this call.
Excellent. I'm just giving the guys and girls a rant on all sorts of bits and pieces from last night's show of free energy and nuclear plants, which I've been waiting to get out for a long time, by the way. That is a very important situation with the nuclear plants. Honestly, we need to address this, and we need to address it before that actually becomes a serious problem. They're warning us. Chernobyl was a warning. Fukushima was a warning. There's now an Iranian plant that's gone out, which is a further warning. These things are warning us that unless we actually stand up and do something about this, this is what they're going to do. This is why they have built these things, people. I kid you not. I wish I was kidding you, but I'm not.
Exactly. Just let you know, Santo is going to join the fray tonight as well. I just brought him into the call. So Just waiting for him. Are you there, Santo?
Yeah.
There you are. Yeah, well, good now. I just got zapped for about the last, 10 minutes, Tony? So I had Jennifer in with me, you're in with me, so that's the problem when I bring people in this way. If I get hit, everyone gets hit. That's why Tony's on the board. Anyway,
Cool.
yes, so where the hell were we?
That's a good point. I think Jennifer was talking about something at the time, and I can't exactly remember what.
Yes. Talking about her brother and the oil fields, and to what end with us destroying Mother Earth. You had mentioned in 50 years, Jen, based on some of the studies that I've been seeing, we don't have that long. The geoengineering that they're trying to, they've been doing it for 5-6 decades anyway. They keep screwing something up and they keep adding to it to try to fix it, and it just intensifies the problem even more. So, no, we got to get active now, guys. We better start actually understanding the fact that you're already dead based on their modus operandi. That might inspire you. I don't know. Sure as hell inspired me, though. Hello?
Yeah. So, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, you're there. Everyone's there.
Oh, sorry. I got a little bit of humming going on. How you doing, Santo?
Very well, thank you. Sorry, Mike was muted. Very well, Jennifer, yourself?
Oh, I'm great. I'm just happy to be here with you folks tonight. I just can't tell you how happy I am to be in on the call with you guys.
Ah, lovely.
But like I was saying, like everything seems to be a distraction nowadays. It's like, I'm on CNN right now, and it's like, with CNN, I'm watching this whole, this LAPD guy. They blew up his cabin, and I can't believe anything on the news at all. And it's like, I just watch it for the little kick I get out of the BS they're trying to cram down our throats. And, it's getting sad, because it's like, how in the hell do you not, the average person that's asleep, how do you go through your day and realize that something's very wrong? Like, I go to the grocery store to go grocery shopping, and I'm very much dedicated to changing my diet, and I have been. I go to the grocery store, and a head of lettuce used to be 99 cents, and now it's $2.50. Like, in the last year, like, what really is going on out there? I think I don't buy my own bread or anything. I make all that stuff at home now, and I just can't figure it out. It's went up $1.50 in the last year on a loaf of bread. Why the hell does a loaf of bread have to cost $3.50? Like, it's some flour, yeast, sugar, salt, and water. Like, people don't see something terribly going wrong here. Like, the cost of living goes up, but wage increases never do. And like I said, with my brother, he's up there making $500 a day, and for what cost? It's the expense of the earth going to be unlivable in the next 50 years, right? Like, I don't get it. It's so frustrating. It's like you can lead the people to water, but you can't make the guys drink,
Yeah, that was actually what we were covering at the moment. It's all about taking away the resources, so we've got no choice at all but to accept the RFID and to accept what they're prepared to give us in return. And it's about, slavery. It's about total control and slavery, as us guys here know.
Yeah, it truly is. And like I was just speaking to both my cousins last night, and my cousin, her little boy's 14 months old, and she had an appointment at the regional health unit this morning to get the little guy his 18-month vaccinations. And my other cousin, she's supposed to get her little boy his 18-month vaccination. I'm like, no, guys. I'm like, stop. I'm like, don't. I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing to these kids. Like, my one cousin has a child with autism, and then my sister. And I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, this is a pattern here. I'm like, the vaccinations, you got to stop. I'm like, we're screwing these kids right up with them. I made the mistake of giving my first 4 a few vaccinations, but for some odd reason or another, I never took them back to get the last few. So none of my kids don't have all their vaccinations. My youngest son's 5 months, Jupiter his name is, and he's my world, and he has no vaccinations. I will not have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just actually typing in a list of the stuff that's in it, or just some of the stuff that's in it. There's tons more stuff than this. But squalene, thimerosal, mercury, there's fetus cells in there, bovine cells, there's all sorts of stuff. Then you've got adjuvants, like, your aluminium, which stops the body actually getting rid of this stuff once it's in your body. Plus the nuclear stuff that they put in there as well. It's absolutely horrendous. What were we thinking? Oh my God. It still shocks me even now as to why didn't we check the ingredients before? Is it just me? What did we forget to do? Why didn't we just switch our brain cells on earlier? Wow, I'm just shocked that it's took me so long to wake up. It's astounding. It's incredible magic that they've managed to pull over us. And Jose will be joining us on Wednesday night, I think it is. I need to check whether it's Wednesday. But Jose Barrera will be joining us to talk exactly about that magic and how they managed to pull the wool over the entire on the planet's eyes for so long. It's fascinating stuff. And I'd love it if you could join us for that one, Santo. But it's going to be awesome, anyway. It's brilliant. But yeah, if you can comment on one of those situations, guys, then I'll just wind it in for a moment and off you go.
I'm just trying to step back a little bit here, guys, tonight, just to let other people get going. Again, you'd mentioned, what was the autism? What do they want? I mean, that's a net result of vaccinations, and they're still taking them back for more. It's like, at what point do people finally wake up and go, like the instance of autism decades ago was non-existent. That is a net result of vaccinations. The incredible increase in it, never mind the other detrimental effects in health, and let's get into nanotechnology and all the rest of it. But I really don't want to focus on that so much tonight. I mean, it always comes up, but one of the things you mentioned earlier, Jennifer, with regards to residential schools and how they focus on the Indian Act, and there it is, right in a nutshell, is they're indoctrinating the students, native students, into a legal state of mind where the real truth, and you know what the real truth is as far as being free. It's sickening. I got to tell you, the best thing that every Native American or a Native anywhere for that matter can do is hand back the status card and say no thanks. I mean, that to me, well, I don't have to pay taxes here and there and whatever. It says you're paying taxes regardless. No matter what. Like you talk about a lettuce. Well, there's no tax on lettuce. Oh yeah, there is. What about the fuel taxes that went into the trucks and the labor of the truck drivers and the farmers and all the rest of it? 90% or more of that head of lettuce is tax. You just think you're not paying tax on it because they don't hit the taxable button on the cash register. They hit the grocery, But anyway, jump in, Santo. Love to hear your thoughts on this.
I was just listening to Jennifer there. I can really resonate with that message of the vaccination and the children. They know very, very clearly what they are doing at the top, that they are poisoning people with vaccination. There's not a shred of evidence that they work. And I too feel the same way as Jennifer. It just really, really burns me up when you see these, quote unquote, good parents. Oh, we just took our children for their 3 shots this morning. The doctor was very happy. They didn't cry, but they're all boosted and vaccinated now, so we shouldn't have troubles. We've got vaccination for all sorts of things. Little children, mind you, little children with fully developed immune systems, and they go and inject them. And these little kids know deep down from years of conscious evolution that little prick, that little needle going into them is not right. It's not right. That's why they cry. They don't cry for the pain. They cry for the betrayal of the stupid ignoramus parents that they were born into that would betray them to doctors. What's a doctor? Someone who doctors books, someone who doctors everything, goes around doctoring shit. They're a bunch of useless imbeciles, doctors now, even though they can do all these handy tricks like heart operations and stuff like that. Nonetheless, that's just talent. It's got nothing to do with wisdom or anything else. They are still stupid, idiot, educated morons by even allowing themselves to be part of a profession that says, oh, we've only got treatments, we don't have cures. And they shut their ears to all the people that have been killed and murdered because they've got cures, real cures. You know, Dr. Sebi can't even work in the States. He won his case in the Supreme Court when the FDA was trying to stop him in the 80s for using the word cure because he cured every disease known to man. You know, even when you mention Dr. Sebi, I mention it to intellectual people, and they get so disturbed. Oh, Santos, just the fact that this guy claims to cure every disease. We know that we know that there's no cures. And I look at these intellectual types and I think, well, you're so goddamn stupid with your, $100 silk tie, you idiot, and all your PhDs on the wall. They mean nothing. People who their children be injected by a doctor who says, trust me, I'm a doctor, and there's no cures, there's only treatments, is a frickin' moron and a killer and an idiot.
So more like a liar, and that's the thing. As I was saying last night, the only thing missing from doctors is the first word that they dropped off their name, witch doctors. I mean, they're a bunch of conjurers, and this is not to make light of the ones that really, are making the efforts. There are doctors out there that are in the homeopathy that went through the medical professions and what have you, and saw the light. There are more people killed in the United States by doctors. I think they're the second leading killer of Americans with false diagnosis, misdiagnosis. You call it whatever you want. I call it stupidity and ignorance of the truth. But you're right about Dr. Sebi. I mean, there's no money in cures. So why would anybody want that, right? It's like you can't raise, hundreds of millions of dollars every year for the Cancer Society for a bunch of people sitting around whining and dining themselves, patting each other on the back. Look what we're doing for humanity. And some of these buffoons actually think they're doing good. I mean, hey, I performed at breast cancer benefit every year. Of course, no charge, and there was, millions raised at this thing every year. It was one of the biggest ones in Canada. And, when you finally come around and see the light of, what's really going on, and especially, it was my dad was killed with chemical radiation poisoning. They call it chemotherapy, but it's been proven that it doesn't work. It's more likely, you look at the stats, more people survive longer, much longer, by not going through chemotherapy. It's the chemotherapy that actually does them in, because their bodies are compromised at that point, because what we're all suffering from is severe acidosis. All we have to do is reduce the acid in our body. We're out of pH balance. If you're out of pH balance, you've got fungus growing. Fungus is cancer. That's all cancer is. It's a fungus. So get your body alkaline, get it back into balance, and let your own body's defenses. I mean, these particular genetic organisms that we walk around in, meat sticks, have been developing for more than a couple of years. They know how to survive in the environment that they, grew into. This is how we're standing here today, right? But we're doing our absolute utmost to destroy that. It's crazy. Wake up, people. Just wake up.
Yeah, I say that every day on Facebook. I wake up this morning, I wake up and I type into my status, I'm awake, and I say, are you? Wake up, people, and it's sickening. Like, to go back to the vaccinations here, I was reading a study, whether or not, like I said, some idiot doctor probably wrote it in the first place, but, they put in peanut oil in it. Apparently there's mercury in them, and some kind of egg protein, which peanuts and eggs are all very high allergies for them little guys that are under a year old. And if there's such high allergies, why on earth are they putting it in these damn vaccinations?
They're putting it in to give them allergies. That's where this all comes from.
Absolutely.
You see, peanut allergies were they were unheard of, and now it's like, don't bring peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to school because one kid in one grade in the whole school has a peanut allergy. And yeah, it's because what they've done is they've compromised the human immune system with these vaccines. And when you put something poisonous into the human body, like a vaccine, whether it's a dead virus or not, that's never been proven to work either, but you put that into your body, your T cells go into complete combat mode, and anything that they correlate with that vaccine, be it egg byproducts, be it peanut oils and what have you, everything is the enemy. And that's why we developed the allergies, because the body was conditioned deliberately to attack these things that are normally innocuous.
Right. Yeah, I feel terrible like that. My little guys, I've gotten my 4 ones. They have a few vaccinations, but not all. And like I said, I thought I was doing, what I was supposed to do as a parent, because I was so gullible, I suppose you'd say, to believing that the doctors were right. And my poor dad, to go back to what you were saying, Kate, my poor father had a terrible battle with colon cancer, and they're, the doctors say, we treat it. They don't want to cure it, because if they treat it, like you said, you know what I mean, the run for the cure and the breast cancer research, they know what cures cancer. It's, you know what I mean? It's healthy living, high alkaline in your diet. And, I've got another thing that I found on, I can't even remember where I found it, but I found it, and that's the important part. It says it's the doctors and government, it's called Running from the Cure. Have you guys seen that? Running from the Cure. That's cannabis.
Yeah, Rick Simpson's story, basically. It's about cannabis oil, isn't it?
Yeah, and, it's running from the cure. They're running from the cure because these bastards stand to lose billions in cancer research and on their paychecks and their surgeries and their treatment. My father had had radiation. He refused the chemo, but the radiation cooked his insides. Poor guy had 12 operations in 18 months before he passed on. And the doctors just kept opening him up to give him surgeries. A couple of them were actually exploratory. And then, you know what I mean, the bastards trying to tell me that we're doing a really good thing for him here, but opening him up is like adding oxygen to a fire with those cancer cells. But we're doing a good thing here.
Well, I'll tell you, with my dad, he wasn't the most diligent in following through on things, but for the first couple of weeks, I got him on colloidal silver, 66 parts per million, some high-tech stuff a friend of mine made, the real stuff, not that store-bought poison. Be careful if you're buying what they're calling colloidal silver. It'll turn your skin blue if it says that. They're using sterling silver, not pure, because that's copper that turns your skin blue, not silver. But we had him on colloidal silver. 1 drop of pure hemp oil, the real stuff, and 1 tablespoon of sodium bicarbonate per day to bring the alkalinity back. As I found out, I'm going to talk with Tammy on Thursday about this. I wanted to discuss baking soda versus sodium bicarbonate based on girl knows her chemistry. But anyway, I'll let her talk about that. But I just did my first dose of baking powder today, and I got to be very careful using it, just based on the reactions that that occur that actually alkalize your body. Now, we should
make it extremely clear that we don't, at the moment, we don't know much about that. So I'd hold off until we do.
Just hold off until we talk to Tammy a little bit and what her understandings of it are. And again, we all take responsibility on ourselves. I mean, I don't mind being a guinea pig, because when something clicks with me and I feel it and resonate with it, I go, yeah, that's click, click, click. That works. I do it. You're in therapy. I do it. These things work because they're natural and they're real. But getting back to my dad, so for the I found out late August of 2010 that he was in 4th stage cancer with liver was involved, the lower lungs, and intestinal areas, and which basically was not a good thing. He'd already lost a ton of weight, and I got him to do this right out of the gate, and he had I guess his first meeting with the doctors. I think it was 2 weeks when I talked to him. I got him on the stuff within a week, and during the course of that week, he was very diligent with it and did what I asked him to do. And when they went in to scan for his cancer, it had already went into full remission. It was already disappearing, and they couldn't understand why. And again, about keeping on with my dad and saying, Dad, you got to do this every day. He was just never really good at that. And of course, with the indoctrination of the medical profession and everything else, well, you got to trust the doctors because they, I said, whatever, So basically, when he was diagnosed with fourth stage, I mean, you basically have, days, weeks, maybe a month or two, right? Because it was that bad. But that was in August 2010. He passed away in May 2011, 7 months later, and it was only because he ended up going in for the radiation. He was doing way better, even through the chemo. We managed to fight off the most of the adverse effects of the chemo, but the radiation did him in. That was it. That's what killed him. So we tried, and there it is. And there's another notch for the medical profession's murder belt. So there you go. Ignorance. That's all it is. It's just ignorance. If these people would just wake up and listen, we wouldn't have to be telling stories like this, and people wouldn't have to go through it. And I'll tell you right now, those that are listening, if you have any loved ones that are going through it, you better get them educated right quick. There's no two ways about it, because the chemo and the radiation will kill them dead. As soon as they go on it, start planning the funeral. Period. That's it. You ask any doctor if they'll go on to chemo radiation. If they get cancer, and every one of them will tell you no. Wonder why that is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, Kate. Like I said, my poor dad there had 12 surgeries in 18 months, and 2 of them, I think, were exploratory surgeries because the idiots didn't know what the hell they were doing. And it's just the radiation that my dad received for the treatment, it was cooking his insides, and he was getting horrible infections, and then these infections would get so bad because the radiation was cooking him that they were putting him on that Cipro stuff to heal the infections that were occurring from the radiation. And I said to my husband, I said, God forbid I get cancer. I said, bastards ain't touching me with the knife. And I said, they ain't touching me with the chemo. I said, I will literally drink cannabis tea until my blood turns green. I'm prepared, and I'm prepared, if that comes to happen, I am going to use all natural ways, naturopathic ways, and I am so dedicated to living differently. I don't use any chemicals to clean my home anymore. I use 100%, I use soap nuts for my dishwasher to wash my clothes. I use vinegar to clean everything. Like, I am so past that point of bleaches and Mr. Clean and all that crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good way to be, again, and it's something too. Cancer is completely preventable. The only reason cancer exists and can exist is because of our diet. We are acidic. Fungus cannot live in an alkaline environment, only an acidic one. Cancer is a fungus. Connect the dots. And to go back to what Tony said, yes, we don't, when we speak, guys, I need you to get this. This is us talking for ourselves, not for you. We're hopefully carrying a message across that you'll look at something, but, because I say I do something, this is what works for me. Do your own homework, do your own due diligence, because don't get caught in the same trap that we all get caught in of going, well, so-and-so said do this, and I did, and this happened. Then all of a sudden it becomes so-and-so's process, okay? We've heard it in all the legal circle games and foods and all the rest of it. Make your own decisions. You're all grown up now, okay? Especially if you're listening to this show. You're very grown up. So start taking it upon yourself to do your own homework. The information's there. I know. I found it. I just went looking. That was the difference. And I know people that are listening, they're looking too. And that's going to be the saving grace between you and slavery. because every day that you educate yourself, you bring your own frequency up, and by default, those around you. So keep your frequencies high, live and lead by example. You got to become your own leader. Don't look for leaders. That's why we're in this mess. We gave our power away to something outside of ourselves. But there you go. Anyway, just waiting for Kevin to tag me, by the way. Top of the hour just passed, so when he's off the interview with Johnny Guzma on QLTV, I'll be bringing him into the call as well. So carry on, guys.
Yeah, and I'll have to go by then, Kate. I've got to prepare for my show too, but thanks for offering me to participate today. I just had a question for you, though. You mentioned the baking soda, right? Now, what was the question with regard to that? Because you had a doubt. I'm taking baking soda. That's what you're supposed to be taking in a glass of water, yeah? Is that what you're talking about?
Again, it's going to be beneficial to a certain degree. With the conversation I was having with Tammy in her room, she did a full chemical breakdown as to the reactions of the acids nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen. Of course, then you have carbon, which is not. And she went into pretty good detail as to what the different chemicals in baking powder do. The only reason that people steer clear of a lot of the sodium bicarbonates is because there's aluminum in them. And some people say, well, that's not true. I'm going to go with what I feel, and yes, the baking soda absolutely is going to help deacidify you. But there was something. I think it's because of the calcium. What was it? Monocalcium phosphate. There was a different reaction that occurs with that is even more beneficial. But again, I'm going to get her, she's on with Pat on her show on Thursday. I'm going to be sitting in, so I'll definitely get her to bring that up and have a good discussion about that. But before you go, Sando, just a quick question for you as to what you see. Sam Muggsy tagged me today, was wondering what you see in the current stars right now.
Oh yeah, I'm in no hurry. I'll have to leave in sort of 10:15. So
okay.
I got plenty of time. I was just saying, I was hoping to be able to chat with Kevin too, but by the time he gets on, I'll probably have to go. I might be able to, have say hello, but stars. Well, I have explained on American Freedom Radio. I opened the first segment with the explanation as to why the BBC reported about the Pope's resignation, and they used such words as. Let me just try and remember. The Pope said he's resigning because he was not adequately exercising his patrine ministry. Okay, so that's clearly what he said, and that's clearly what he should have said, because patrine is Petra, the rock, Peter, Jupiter. That's why when you go to Rome, you see Jupiter statues everywhere, including Saint Jupiter, Zeus. They've kissed his toe, his right toe. They've kissed it all the way off. When you go to Rome, they line up for miles to kiss Jupiter's toe, right? Because he's been ruling for 2,000 years, right? Just Zeus. So he has been dethroned. Pisces is over. When Jupiter is in Pisces, and Pisces has been the ruler for 2,000 years up until the 21st of December last year. When that sign is ruling, Jupiter is the most favorable planet. And how does he favor us? He favors us with his consort Juno and her money. Juno Moneta is where all coins are pressed in the Roman Empire. Even today, the Federal Reserve, those guys, they belong to the Juno Moneta school, trust me, and Jupiter, and Pisces. But that school's over. Jupiter's been dethroned. There's a new kid on the block, new ruler. Hello, welcome, Uranus, the daddy of Saturn. So Saturn and Uranus now are favoured. Their energy now is in the forefront. Their energy now is the new vibe. Petrine energies no longer have any hold over us. That money concept of Juno and Jupiter, that wealth, that, you know, the abundance and benefic value Jupiter grants to us through Pisces energy is purely just material and money. Well, that's how it's been harvested anyway. Okay, so all of that, capitalism that you saw, that was Pisces, that was Jupiter, that was all of that stuff. That vibe is no longer around. It's not there anymore. It's gone. There's a new vibe. It's Uranus. Uranus is the Christ, the Saviour. In all ancient traditions, Uranus has always been hiding in the darkness, behind the scenes, waiting to return one day. And he did in 1781, when Herschel discovered Uranus, Jesus Christ the Saviour, the invisible one, the one that will return one day, because we weren't conscious of it 400 years ago, so he hadn't returned. But then all of a sudden one day, when the revolutions were transpiring to happen, Uranus is discovered. And if he isn't the god of revolutions, and hello, within short years after that, there was the French, the American, then we had the Russian Revolution, we had all these revolutions. Revolutions all over the place. The return of Uranus in our consciousness. Therefore, but he also returned in 1781 to signal the fact that he would return in his full kingdom in the near future, when Aquarius would be installed, and humanity would have to wait a short time more, suffer a little bit more, as the scriptures say, unless those days were shortened, all flesh would expire. No flesh will be saved. What it's talking about is that last few days of Pisces are always a real mess. You know, a lot of mess. It gets worse and worse exponentially all the way to the end of Pisces and Jupiter and money and greed and filth and all of that stuff that we've seen and witnessed with our own, you know, witnessing faculties. Because wherever you go, there is always the one witnessing, bearing witness. And that's the oversoul. That's God above you in your higher mind. And this is what churchgoers are denying, you see. They're denying the return of Uranus being the true identity of the Saviour, saying, I will return again in my kingdom. It's astrology. It's pure astrology. I will, if I haven't already done it, I promise you, I will perfectly reinstall biblical astrology back to this planet. It is the only science that we should be paying attention to. I will teach in my webinars weekly biblical astrology. I will teach you how to be a competent diviner of the divine. That's what a diviner is. If you want to be a diviner, you must understand the science of biblical astrology. Hermetic. It's hermetic. The Bible and Hermes are one, at the hip, one. There is not a separation between the two documents. And this is what I desire to do. You know, that's my greatest desire, to bring back the science of light and how it works. There's so much that is hidden in this science. You know, in the Bible it talks about 144,000. Well, what would that be? Well, that's all processional numbers from astrology. Astrology is all about procession, and procession is all about reality. We live in a cycle of 25,920 years. And that's the cycle that runs everything, every fractal that we have ever experienced in our reality. It's the most important number you will ever need to remember. 25,920 years. And if you add a couple of zeros to that, you get 2,900,000. If you add 2 zeros to the precessional figure, you get the circumference of the sun. So precession times 100 gives you the circumference of the sun, which is 2,592,000 miles. So precession comes from the sun. It's 1/100th of the circumference of the sun. So we can never escape it. The Bible, if you want to tell someone, and if someone ever asks you, be it a child, be it an adult, be it an alien, be it God or anyone, whoever asks you, what in one sentence, in one breath, explain to me what the Bible is, just tell them this, that the Bible is a document encoded purely with the numbers of precession. And it is a holy book based on the sun and the circumference of the sun. And as the sun does everything it does, that 360-degree ecliptic of the circle of the sun is measured at 2,592,000 miles. Now, when you go to Wikipedia, they'll tell you that it's 27,000 miles, right? I know a lot of people have already checked by now, and but remember, consensus science is based on, they base all of their calculations on the 5 senses, whereas the Egyptian wisdom was knowledge based beyond the 5 senses. And they say that the sun is 2,592,000 miles in its circumference, not 27,000. And that's where we get precession. And so the reason I'm saying this, folks, is it's pure science. And this is the holy science that will return. And as long as I'm breathing, I promise that, biblical astrology will return in the hearts and minds of every single individual alive. And that's the way it was in more peaceful times, once upon a time on this planet, before the controllers set upon destroying this science and confusing us and dividing us with churches and confusion and telling us that no, the zodiac and all of that business, that's all pseudoscience. We've got better science over here. Look this way. And the church will tell you, oh yes, astrology is condemned in the Bible. And that it's from the devil. Of course they will tell you that. They have a craft to support too. And so, but light and truth will come back and spread the word. Biblical astrology is back. Syncretism is back. And it's here to stay, folks. And you guys are first in line. We are first in line to receive it and to remember it. It's pure science. It's not opinion. It's no one's opinion. It's not based on 5 senses.
No, I totally hear you on that. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just saying it's awesome stuff. I mean, the magnitude of what you're actually talking about is incredible. And bringing into that the harmonics, the platonic solids and frequencies, and the science is incredible.
Yeah, Tony, that's why it frustrates me when people delight in stupidity. Churchgoers will talk about 144,000. Or when the saints go marching in. They want to be in that number. The number is 144,000, but the number is the number that encircles the 360-degree circle of the law of God, which is the zodiac circle. How so? All right. Well, all you need is a pen and a bit of paper, right? Draw a circle. divide the circle into two hemispheres, horizontally. Then divide it into quarters by putting another vertical line through the center. Then divide it into 12 30-degree segments. So you've got 12 pies in a circle. Okay? Now that is 360 degrees divided into 12 segments of 30 degrees. Now, inside each of those 30-degree segments, you place the 12 signs of the zodiac once more. So in Aries, let's start at Aries. What happens is this is what's called in astrology it's called dads, spelt D W A. I think it's RD or possibly just D. So, well, hang on. Let me just check that spelling, folks, because this is very. And is Kevin coming?
I tagged him, told him to let me know when he was ready to come on board here. I said, "Tag me when you're ready." And I'm assuming he should be any second now, based on our normal experience.
Okay. So, because I'll shoot off when he gets on anyway. But Adad is spelt D W A D. I just checked the spelling. Okay. Now, what those are little zodiacs, 12 signs repeated as a smaller fractal inside each of those 12 pies. And if you do your calculation, you've already worked it out. 12 times 12 equals 144. These are the 144,000 that stand with God around the throne of God. The throne of God is the zodiac. Now, let's get over that and let us delight in the light and wisdom that will return to this beautiful planet once we acknowledge these basic and fundamental things. If we're talking about God and the throne of God and the 144,000, etc., 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 just have a look at the science of astrology and you will see where they are ripping these figures off. And it must be stated loudly from the rooftops, and the stupid idiot, moron, educated, trained fools from those institutions of Babylon must be silenced with pure science. With pure science and wisdom and truth and knowledge, because they are ignoramuses. And I can go on and on and on, and I just scratch the surface with these little tidbits, and it hurts me because I only have, like 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, a 4-hour presentation over here, a 2-hour one over there, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
Because you need lifetimes of knowing this stuff, you need lifetimes of having meditated upon these things, and you just need the right books. As Giovanni Pico della Mirandola said 500 years ago in Renaissance days, he said, divine providence has caused certain books to fall into my hands. You do need to be studious too and pay attention. And these things are knowable. I am only telling forth things that I know and that are knowable.
Absolutely, and that have been hidden from us.
Yeah, and something else too, where it might seem a bit heady for most people, like there's so much to do. It's not really. What's happened is we've been taken away from the real teachings, have been taught into a whole different paradigm of utter bullshit, to put it bluntly. And when we finally bring this truth to the fore, where it's going right now, this is where our paradigm shift happens, where our children start to become educated in the true knowledges, the true wisdoms of this world, where it's like a child born into a family speaking whatever language learns to speak that language just by virtue of being in it. And that's exactly what's happened, is we have been taken out of this pure holy science completely. We're not talking partially here, completely taken out of it. And it's very difficult to comprehend because as that child that speaks one language young finds itself in another place where it has to learn another language, it's much more difficult because there is a correlation interference. It's not as pure as the first language. So we need to make the Holy Science the first language, period.
Oh, yeah. Don't you worry about that, Kate. That will happen. I promise you that. And I'm uncovering a lot of evidence about astrology. As far as I am uncovering, it's only in recent times that Big Pharma has been capable of silencing astrology the way they've done. And I'll give you a few little examples of why they would want to silence astrology. Why would they be so interested in teaching their doctors to offer only treatments? This is why. I'll tell you what, I can run rings around doctors, and I can guarantee that I can help you with the knowledge of astrology to know when, if you have to have an operation, to go and to have a successful operation. Doctors are killing people in their hospitals because they are operating organs. For instance, they will operate kidneys when the moon is transiting Libra. Now, Libra is the sign of the kidneys. Astrologers know that, and astrologers know that you do not go under the operating knife when the moon is transiting the sign that is being operated in. For instance, the brain. If the moon is in Aries, don't touch the frickin' brain. Idiot doctors, you're killing people. And Big Pharma doesn't give a shit. They don't care that doctors are killing people. They are bleeding to death because the moon is wandering through those signs and there are operations going on all over the planet. And these idiot, educated PhD types are cutting into people's bodies, and the moon is just saying, well, I don't give a shit, you're not paying attention to me, this idiot's going to bleed to death, you educated moron PhD types. This is what's going on, guys. There's more to it than this. Not only are those 20... I've been working with these 144,000 angles in my astrological charts, and I've discovered something very interesting. Well, I haven't discovered it. I discovered it personally. Nothing is new under the sun. But this is what I've found. That when you apply these dards, otherwise known as faces, in astrology, Ptolemy taught them 2,000 years ago, the greatest astrologer who ever lived. He explained in the second century that these dards are called faces, and there's 144,000 of them. Now, in my sign Aries, you would put the 12 signs inside the sign of Aries. So Aries would start with the sign of Aries and end with Pisces. The next sign, Taurus, it would start with Taurus and end with Aries. The next sign, Gemini, starts with Gemini and ends with Taurus, and so on and so forth. So that's how the dards work. But for instance, I was born on the 24th of March, just after the equinox. So my sun is in the second degree of Aries. Therefore, I am in the dard, or in the face, of Aries. Because the first dard is 2.5 degrees, ruled by Aries. The second dard is the Taurus dard. So now I know that I am double Arian in that respect, that my sun is in the second degree of Aries, in the dard of Aries. Now, if I were born, say, 6 hours later and I happened to be in the third degree of Aries, I would be in the dard of Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. Aries is a fire sign. So I would know now that there is something earthy in that third degree of Aries. In fact, anyone who's Arian, who's born on, say, the 25th or the 26th of March, would have a Taurus dard. Now that, I have discovered to be very, very handy knowing those dards. And so has a scholar called George Carey, who I have presented much information in my presentations about the cell salts, and Dr. Schussler of Germany of the 19th century. I have presented this information of the 12 cell salts and the 12 zodiacal signs, and how these tissue salts are of great benefit to the 12 bodily systems, like the skeletal system, the respiratory system, etc., and how this all interconnects. This is the very wisdom that Big Pharma doesn't want you to know. These are the cures. This is the cure. This is our system of 12 that is our cure. We can forget about treatments, people. We have to turn our backs on treatments because they are treatments induced for profit and gain, and we have been seduced away from our true holy law of God. And this is why great punishment has come to us. We have suffered greatly. They have put aspartame and fluoride and mercury in all our foods and chemtrails and all sorts of shit, and we have suffered immensely because we have forgotten the law of God, astrology. Now let's get back to it. Real smart. Hut 2.
Well said. Well, before you go, I just wanted to go through a post that Kevin had sent me. So I still don't sign him yet, but I did want to read this, and I did want you to hear it. I'm not sure if you got it yet or not, but it's a thing Kevin put together here. It's entitled "The Rat Scurries from the Vat: The Latest Coup in Rome" by Kevin D. Annette. Theories are abounding this week now that the first pope in 7 centuries is resigning his office, but as always, the most direct way to the truth behind the world's oldest corporation is simply by following the money, and specifically Vatican bank money. Let's put to rest, first of all, the fallacy that looming scandals about child rape and cover-up are behind Joseph Ratzinger's resignation. That's just the cover story. Nobody in the church hierarchy is losing much sleep over their standing. Canon law endorsed policy of concealing and protecting child rapists in their ranks. Even the International Crime Court application about such crime has been stymied by Catholic-run legislators and jurists. What pronounced the death knell on Pope Benedict was his personal implication in the bribery and money laundering practices of the Vatican Bank, comically known as the Institute of Religious Works, and how that dirty connection gave the anti-Ratzinger faction in the College of Cardinals the lever they needed to dump the obstinate German from the papal throne. We had a whiff of that dump rat boy agenda last year when VatiLeaks broke into the news with the ludicrous story of how Ratzinger's loyal butler, Paolo Gabriele, disclosed the Pope's dirty secrets to the Italian media. In fact, the damning documents detailing Ratzinger's secret rewarding of Vatican contracts to his friends and family members originated in the Vatican Secretary of State's office, which the fall guy Butler could not have had access to. The Secretary of State and the real power behind the papacy is Cardinal Tarcisio Bertoni, an old insider who also engineered the sacking of Gotti Tedeschi, head of the Vatican Bank, last May. Tedeschi had taken seriously the call of the European Parliament for greater transparency by the Vatican Bank, IOR, and was about to disclose to Brussels how his bosses had been laundering money for the mob for decades. The last pope who had tried such a disclosure, John Paul I, died from poisoning in September 1978 after less than a month in office. Actually, 33 days, but there we go. But even with Tedeschi's silence, the IOR House of Cards kept tumbling as the European Parliament seized from it 300 million euros fraudulently acquired, and even the American Securities and Exchange Commission declared the IOR's assets and practices insecure. A major Vatican house cleaning was required, or at least the appearance of one. I'm going to continue here, Basanto. There, that just ties in your whole destruction of the corporate mind thing. Well, before you run off, I know you have to go, but what was that quote again that Benny the Rat said before he stepped away?
Oh, yeah, I'll give you what I posted on Facebook yesterday. It sounds pretty much a sort of a really sort of paraphrase of what Kevin just wrote, okay? But this is from a more theological plane,
yeah.
See, because a lot of people are missing the point. They're missing the point. The Pope that represents the Petrine Church, the rock Peter, cannot continue. Jupiter's energy has been silenced. Pisces, only can the planets that we are under the sign of, can those planets be the rulers. And only their energies are to be respected in that sign. Foremostly. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's not my rules. This is how as above, so below works. Jupiter is all over, and people need to understand that there won't be a pope. That's over. That was the Roman Catholic Piscean Dark Age gone.
Yeah.
Kiss it and goodbye. This is what I wrote. Farewell, rat. Notice what the BBC writer says. Quote, no longer suited to an adequate exercise of the Patrine ministry. Patrine? Would that be Jew Patrine? Yes, it would. New ruler in town called Uranus now. Move over, Popey Poos, you're fired. Jupiter's contract has expired. We now have new heavens. Sorry to, quote, see you go. See, as in holy see.
I know, I got it. I was laughing. I was muted. See you go.
Just in case. Also, notice in the article the words, in order to govern the bark of St. Peter. Now, isn't it interesting that the BBC would use such an... Yeah, the bark. When I've just exposed in my syncretism series, the bark of Ra. You see, because Peter, Jupiter, is otherwise known as Ammon-Ra, back in good old Egypt. And Ammon-Ra, Jupiter Ammon-Ra, is Peter, Saint Peter. So the bark of Ra, the rainbow, you know, remember we looked at that? Yeah, the Ra boat, the rainbow. Yeah, that bark, sorry Peter, but Aquarius is in town, and we'll see you in about 6,000 years when Sagittarius comes along and you get another chance to have another go. But for the next 4,000 years, it's Uranus and Saturn. So anyway, but before I go, I just want to say to the listeners, join my webinars every Friday, because I'm going to be teaching the most holy of holy astrology, and I'm going to just really just bring it on. 1 hour lessons every Friday, the best astrology. This week we're going to do, I might even do the subject of dignities, essential dignities and accidental dignities. So, you know, those are the aspects and the good things that are in your chart, the strengths and the weaknesses. Right. So you can learn how to, you know, so join it. Let's get an army of warrior teachers that will go forth and spread the wisdom of astrology. So join the webinar, perhaps, and let's get the light out. Thanks for having me on, Kate.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you tomorrow night with Jose Barrera, I trust. That's definitely going to be a show of shows. So I'm hoping that you can make it. That'd be great. And you're on American Freedom Radio tonight, yes?
Yeah, in about an hour and 20 minutes with Jason Verbelli.
Okay. Well, don't forget, people, an hour after our show, I'll be over there. So American Freedom Radio, definitely tune in tonight. It'll be 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll definitely be tuned in. And looking forward to hearing you again, Santo. And as always, thank you, my friend, for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Absolutely. Before you go, have you got a link to the webinars, Santo? I can post in the chat room because everybody's asking.
The site, the schooloftheholyscience.org. Sign up there, and Ruth sends out a weekly letter. Okay, so that's my other website, which is connected to universaltruthschool.com. One word. Yeah. universaltruthschool.com, and your website is there at the bottom, Tony. Yours is there, Kate, and my other one, which is School of the Holy Science, where Jason Verbelli teaches, Robert Otey, Matt Presti, Bill Donahue, we've got Marty Leeds. Who else, Kate? Help me, please.
I think you named them all. I'm trying to think. There's no one else I can think of.
Johan Oldenkamp.
Hang on. I know one more. Oh, why can't I remember his name? Joel. Is it Joel?
Joel Walkner.
Joel Walkner. He does the webinars with you guys as well.
Yeah, so everybody should be on the School of the Holy Science. It's the School of the holy science, and of course synchronicity with Tony. I'm also there with you, Kate. There's heaps of stuff, but this webinar is I'm going to devote it to biblical astrology side of syncretism. Okay, so get the science out so that we can stop messing with treatments and cure. Learn. I'll be teaching medical astrology. Okay, how to cure yourself. I've done it. It works, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Hundreds.
Excellent.
If not thousands.
Kevin just tagged me, said he was having a bit of a problem to deal with, and I was wondering if he could do the show tomorrow, but we're already booked. So I just said if he had, if he has a few minutes, we'll at least get him in to say hi. And I guess they ran a bit longer than they thought tonight. But yeah, again, and before he goes on, I did want to mention that while you were talking there about the bark of Ra and a few other comments, I recall a conversation, and I said it during the conversation. We talked for about 2 or 3 hours, and during the course, that was over in the summer, and I said, this conversation that we just had right now would have been a perfect show, and that conversation just came back to mind here, and you just returned that cycle, so it's beautiful. So there you go. Anyway, thank you again, Santo, and much love to you, my friend, and I'll be tuning in to you later on tonight.
Oh yeah, and look, and for those that can't make it because of the hour, it's 5 p.m. for me in Australia. It's ridiculous hours for some people. It's like 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. We are recording them, and there will be an archive of these. So it's going to be a series of astrological lectures and presentations, and just like my other presentations anyway. Okay, so no panic there. All right.
Okay. Thanks again, Santo. I appreciate it. Much love to you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Just again, another update here. Kevin ran into something that is a little bit unavoidable, and he won't be able to get where he needs to be for half an hour. And we'll do it another night, though, because he said if we can find another night, that'd be great. And I said, sure, all good, no problem. But more importantly, and just as importantly, we have Jennifer here with us. And Tony and Santo, and it doesn't matter. We have all you guys listening in, and every show, regardless, is relevant.
Absolutely. Jennifer.
Yes.
Hey. Look, I know you came in tonight with loads and loads of different bits of information to give to us guys. So I'd like to just sort of hand it over to you, and if you can just sort of give us the lowdown on what's going on, that'd be great, because obviously Kevin's tied up. So if you could fire away, that'd be wonderful.
Well, yeah, this is such a shame that Kevin can't join us tonight. Him and I were actually trying to get together and have coffee this week while he was in Vancouver, but I don't like traveling too far away from home myself, but we will link up at another time and have lunch or something. But no, I must say that Kevin's doing great work. Just as far as what he's doing with these criminals in their black cloaks, and all the things they've done to these little kids, and without Kevin, I don't know where things would stand, and it's really sad that the Vatican seems to think that all this money they've taxed people with, that and all the crimes they've committed against these kids, that they can just throw a few bucks at them to shut them up and heal their pain. That part there really pisses me off. I'll tell you guys the truth. Like I said, it's we all have to do our part, and I'm on a daily basis trying to wake everyone up, I know, but like I said, they think I'm crazy, and they can go ahead and think I'm crazy, because they're all going to feel foolish when reality gives them all a slap in the face.
Exactly. I think it's crazy putting spent fuel on top of nuclear reactors as well, don't you?
Absolutely. I just don't understand, all these people who have these, $500,000 educations, and you know what I mean? It all boils down to the fact that these expensive educations that you've given your every penny to, and you're a slave to yourself, you know what I mean? It hasn't given you anything but a diplomacy and being a busy idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I wouldn't mind finishing this little document off because I think it has a lot of poignant remarks in it, courtesy of Kevin. It only take a couple of minutes, but
Yeah,
if that's okay with you guys.
Oh, please, Kate.
All right, here we go. Just because there was a couple of quotes in here I wanted to get out that are very eye-opening. Just checking here where I was because I had to scroll down when Kevin tagged me. Okay, it was the pivotal Cardinal Bertone who leaked the Pope's diary and other incriminating papers to a Catholic-friendly journalist in Rome last year, soon after the sacking of Tedeschi's, to prepare the world for Ratzinger's removal. For it is Bertone who is now reaping the benefits of the papal house cleaning. He is not only a primary contender for the Pope's position, but a key player in the IOR. During my second speaking tour in Rome in the fall of 2010, I met with several senior Italian senators and officials of the Parliamentary Radical Party. They all said the same thing about why Joseph Ratzinger had been made Pope and what awaited him, to quote one of these politicians. Nobody becomes Pope without a sordid past, because only with such liabilities can he be controlled by the Curia. It's the same in any big company. Well, Ratzinger made many indiscretions as a cardinal and made many enemies. His signing letters ordering criminal concealment was just one sin. He was to be the scapegoat for all the trash that the church knew would surface. So now the papal scapegoat is gone, pensioned off to wherever ex-popes end up, and the time for the big facelift has arrived. The idea of applying cosmetic surgery to a decaying facade like the Church of Rome reminds me of Shirley MacLaine trying to look 40 at the age of 90, and yet appearances are everything in show business as well as in religion. Tarcisio Bertone is about as institutional as you can get and represents the old Italian crowd of the Curia and are part of the mob government papal clique that run the country and the Roman Catholic Church. In the words of one of the Roman senators I spoke with, "You must understand that in my country the mafia and the government and the Vatican are all the same people, and they really have only one concern, protecting their assets. Bertone, or whoever from the victorious ranks of his faction does assume the papal tiara, cannot be expected to do much but maintain the assets and security of the Church, and that means by continuing the policies of silence and dissimulation that keeps the cash flowing. But their position is more difficult now in the wake of the enormous risks developing within the wider Church, where cardinals are facing criminal prosecution for shielding child rapists, and talk of disaffiliating from Rome is widespread among Irish, American, and German bishops." Quote, we have all the grounds for a second Reformation now. That's how serious is the crisis. The Church will either rid itself of itself or face collapse, said one Italian media commentator recently. It was easy to despise Joseph Ratzinger, the Hitler Youth-raised reactionary bigot who sacked liberal and independent thinkers in his church as the cardinal head of the Vatican Inquisition, and who told American bishops that purgatory awaited any of them who did not cover up priestly child rape. Even among fellow cardinals, he was known as Joe the Rat. But Ratzinger was a made-to-order object of hatred, and put there to play out the oldest game in politics, the venting of popular rage on a disposable figurehead so that the institution itself could proceed unscathed. I doubt that it's totally coincidental that Ratzinger was forced out of office so quickly, barely 10 days after our common law court published online hard evidence of the Pope's involvement in crimes against humanity. Any new Pope will face the same charges of colluding in a massive criminal conspiracy. But the real issue is not whether, who, or what will replace Joseph Ratzinger as the latest figurehead, but how to displace the Vatican itself as a criminal power unto itself. And that struggle is just commencing. Historic breaking news, Wednesday, February 13th, 2013. Pope Benedict resigned to avoid arrest, seizure of church wealth by Easter. Diplomatic note was issued to Vatican just prior to his resignation. New Pope and Catholic clergy face indictment and arrest as Easter reclamation plan continues. A global media release and statement from the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State. Brussels. The historically unprecedented resignation of Joseph Ratzinger as Pope this week was compelled by an upcoming action by a European government to issue an arrest warrant against Ratzinger and a public lien against Vatican property and assets by Easter. The ITCCS central office in Brussels is compelled by Pope Benedict's sudden abdication to disclose the following details. And now there's other details here. It'll go on for a little bit, but I'll just go to the closing. In closing, our tribunal acknowledges that Pope Benedict's complicity in criminal activities of the Vatican Bank, IOR, was compelling his eventual dismissal by the highest officials of the Vatican. But according to our sources, Secretary of State Tarcisio Bertoni, forced Joseph Ratzinger's resignation immediately in direct response to the diplomatic note concerning the arrest warrant that was issued to him by the said nation's government on February 4th, 2013. We call upon all citizens and governments to assist our efforts to legally and directly disestablish the Vatican, Inc., and arrest its chief officers and clergy who are complicit in crimes against humanity and the ongoing criminal conspiracy to aid and protect child torture and trafficking. Further bulletins on the events of the Easter Reclamation Campaign will be issued by our office this week. So that's what I got from Kevin. When I stop and think about the ramifications of what we're experiencing right now, with the exposure of the Vatican the way it is, and of course the crimes have been innumerable to count over the centuries, the church is coming down, and as a net result, when you look at the whole idea of ecclesiastical law, which is based on their bullshit, what you have there is a complete collapse of the corporate aspect of the birth certificate as well, because without the papal bulls and the trusts and the ecclesiastical law that is contained, and that is actually feigning and mimicking natural law, that whole institution, I'm talking the whole legal, monetary, religious, all of it comes down, one fell swoop. So it looks like Pluto is in the house, and Big Daddy Uranus is back in the heavens where it should be. So it's all good news, guys.
Good grief, that's huge. That's massive.
Yeah, I think so. And you do understand what I'm saying about where it's going. As far as ecclesiastical law, because once that mimicry of real law loses the power of its ability to mimic, there's going to be a lot of, if they're worried about a comet later this year, I think they need to be worried about this right now, because that is a bit more than a comet. That is when planets collide. So very, very pertinent times we live in, very interesting. And many of us, the crazies like you, me, and Jen, and Santo, and the rest of us, we're not going to look so crazy very shortly. And yeah, there's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people, especially when they go to their bank accounts to realize that their money is not there, one, and two, even if it was, it's worthless. Venezuela, whether this came out in mainstream, whether it's true or not, but just devalued their currency, I think, by 46%. So, I mean, that is, and Venezuela is not a poor nation, guys, okay, but they're understanding what's going on, and they're pulling some plugs. What they're doing is that's, to me, is a butterfly flapping its wings. The tsunami's on its way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's a game of dominoes from here on out for them all.
Oh, huge. Yeah, absolutely. That was a big one that happened yesterday, and it just gets better from here.
Did you guys see the lightning bolts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's this then? I didn't hear about this.
What I said on Facebook. I said, somebody looks a little bitter about resigning, but, it's a strange thing is my best friend, he's like, Jennifer, she's like, he resigned because he was old and sick. And I'm like, listen, sweetheart, I'm like, the last pope, that bugger died in bed, the pope, okay? And I'm like, and I read another statement saying that due to an advanced age, and that was the key word for me. I caught on to that because myself, I'm conscious like the rest of us are, an advanced age. And that made me associate that one particular statement with astrology because we are now
in the advanced age.
Yes, we are. And for those of us that know what the hell is going on, that statement, boom, triggered a little light bulb in my brain.
Exactly. It's the way you read. It's the way you read it. It's your perception that changes. Yeah.
And that's what we really have to do. And we've been talking about this for a very long time. Don't take something at face value. Have a look at it and see if there's more to it than meets the eye and ear. You see, because we've been indoctrinated to only use our visual, where we hear each other, but we're not cognizant of what is actually being said. That's the difference. And when you start hearing the words versus that spellbinding of seeing the words, which has been my gift, it's kind of funny, I see pictures, I can't see words. I just use words to describe them, so maybe that was something that clicked with me, I have no idea. But, I have a hard time seeing letters. if I think about them long enough, I can shape them. But for me, it's all pictures, and I just translate them with that squiggle stuff they taught me in school.
Yeah, it's all visual for me too as well, Kate. You know, like now that I'm conscious, like I can watch, you know, this bullshit, the inaugural, you know, the president getting sworn back in office and getting voted back in, and you know what I mean? I can see all the little signs and brainwashing and subliminal messages in the Super Bowl halftime shows, and you know, like it's the little things that I'm picking up on that I'm just like, aha, aha.
Yeah. Did you pick up on the TR-3Bs flying over his inaugural address?
Absolutely.
Exactly. All happening, folks.
It's all quite real. If you're paying attention, you'll see it. And here's the thing, and I actually feel bad for people that aren't seeing it because they're missing a hell of a show. They really are, for lack of a better way to put it. It's it's a very painful show for some of us, but at the same time, we got really good seats here. Sometimes you got to stand in line and put up with the cold and the rain and you know, just to make sure you're, you know, one of the first people in line to make sure you get to see the show. But anyway, we're down to 90 seconds here, so Jennifer, thank you so much, and we're going to get you back on a regular basis, hon.
I would love it.
Yeah, you bring a beautiful energy, and don't ever hesitate just to call in just because you can, or let me know if you want to jump in some night.
Oh, totally. I love you guys to death, Kate. You just don't know. I love you guys to death, and the message you bring and everything you stand for. You, Santo, and everybody else. That you guys are my mentors. I love you.
No, it's you know what, and as is everyone else for me and Tony and Santo, we are looking at our own mirror here. But I just want to say thanks, and of course the door's open to everyone. Everyone needs to know that. Tony, thank you so much, and Paul, Lisa, and the Critical Mass Radio crew, thank you for giving us this platform every night that we can bring this truth to the people. So Tony, you got about 30 seconds. Finish her off.
Yeah, just, I suppose, you know, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. It's been another roller coaster show. That's one of the things, when you get on one of these shows, you never know what's going to happen next. But yeah, it's been awesome. It's been great, and thank you so much for everybody in the chat room as well as Santo, you know, God bless him. You know, we couldn't do it without him, and, you know, we couldn't do it without any of us. We're all in it, but it's all good stuff, so, you know, look forward to the show tomorrow, and like I say, thanks again, guys.
Much love. Good night.
Nice sharing the air with you guys. Good night.
Awesome. Okay, we're in the recording, so absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it was kind of one of those, okay, where do we go from here shows, but it's great. It always works out, and again, it's, you know, what happens because it's supposed to.
Absolutely. If we can just get through to one person and that person get through to one person, you know, it's going to spread like a virus. And, you know, I'm quite confident that that's what's going to happen, you know.
But, it's already happening. That's exactly the trick. One tells one, tells another one, tells another one.
Oh, Kate, I go on to the People's Trust 1776, their website, and the Opt, and I go on there twice a day, and I just go on there to check the stats and see how many people have checked it out just in the last day, and by the numbers that I've been recording, it's about 1,000 a day.
Good job. You know, that's what it takes. You know, we all got to do our part. So, but
I have to get some of those guys on pretty shortly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna tag Lisa Harrison, and well, actually, I think Lisa's in my contacts. I know Chris Hale is, so I'll send a note off to Chris Hale and see if I can get them sorted out. And there's another night you probably want to join us, Jen. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'll sign her off here. And much love, great show, and thanks for the energy, the life, and the love, and it's beautiful.
Have a great evening, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Cosmic Blueprints with Tony Z and Kate of Gaia, and of course the lovely Jennifer Gorkak and Sonda Bonacci, and, well, Kevin almost made it. Anyway, love to all. Good night.
Good night.
God bless.